Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here, with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8 and Third Reich events installed, along with many other great little sub-mods. We have a few decisions to make. Now, I, off-camera, had to try it a couple of times, and got Italy to allow me to determine the future of the Balkans. It's set, I haven't looked recently, but it's set to mostly insist on a Italian primacy in the Balkans, but you can get it so that Germany is primary, and the big reason, as I said in the last episode before ending it, is that I need some ports, and I'm going to allow Vichy to form, which is the other alternative to try to run ports through the south of France. So I need control here. Again, it's more game mechanics than history, and so everyone needs to understand that. But we have a few other decisions to make. Exchange ICs for resources. I understand this event as if you have lots and lots of ICs like I do, and you've lost access to resources because, particularly speaking, if you're at war with the Soviet Union and the Soviet Union's pressing you, and you've lost Italy to the Allies, and you're sort of barely holding out here in Germany, you've got lots of ICs and are not enough of one of these resources, then, in my opinion, only then do you want to ever exchange that, and that just, I guess, mostly simulates using some of your production ICs to, instead of produce a factory, to produce expanded oil wells, or which Germany did have oil wells internally, but would also be theoretically like synthetic fuel factories, or expand, shifting to more steel manufacturing or something like that. So it works it. But basically I just go, not worth it, because maybe I want to change my mind at some date. So I recommend not ever doing this unless you're really sort of losing things. If you're having a what currently appears to be a permanent idling of factories because of lack of a resource, which can happen, and permanent until you drastically change things around. Okay, then we are also going to go with create the Waffen SS command structure. The Allgemeine SS, or the General SS, have been around, obviously, since before the Nazis came to power. And over time, and I'm sort of weak on some of this German, the SS headquarters in Berlin, because it moved it, after taking power, moved from Munich to Berlin. It started out as an Amt, which I gather is like a headquarters, and then a Hauptamt, which is like an over headquarters. I'm probably butchering some of this German translation. Now, I guess sort of the original Amt was still sort of there as covering what it originally covered, but as things expanded, and the actual, and we can look at it here quickly. The Hassmeyer here was in charge of the Hauptamt, or SS Hauptamt. So Himmler's in charge of the SS most assuredly, but Himmler's not in charge of this headquarters, in the sense that he isn't the person given command of the headquarters, if you will, if you understand the distinction. It's sort of like Hitler was in charge of the army because he was dictator of Germany, but you still had the general in command of the army, if you will. That's sort of the situation, as I understand it, with the Amt and the Hauptamt. So we have three basic choices. This one you want to do mostly for AI control, and that's why it's put in there, I believe, entirely, though the human does have the ability to choose it, and that's what the AI is set for, because it doesn't want extra theaters. It'll delete them, so that's the non-theater headquarters. You always want to do the theater headquarters because you can attach as many subunits directly to the theater HQ as you want, where all of their HQs can only have a maximum of 5 units attached. Now, is it still down? No, we'll start over again. And of course here I'm showing you a headquarters with more than 5 units attached. This can only be done via loading an OOB, an order of battle, load into it. You cannot alter it. You can remove them. I can disconnect any one or all of these, but I can never reconnect more than 5. So if you have however many this is, and then remove one, you can't put it back in. You create other similar via the events. You either have to totally delete all of these, like I do with the SA order of battle, and then replace it with a new version with them attached. Or you just can't attach any more to it. It's a pure engine limitation, and this is another case here for the police. The Hauptamt for the Ordnungspolizei is another one, which we have a bunch of other core headquarters for the police currently around that are not attached to this because we cannot attach anymore. So you just, for flexibility purposes, you will want to create the theater headquarters. Now, this is the creation of the Reich SS, which is sort of, again, I don't know the exact translation, but it's sort of like the national leadership of the SS or something. I'm probably butchering that again too with my just previous to this we were talking a little bit on the forum, on the Third Reich events thread on the forum about German and Germans understanding English and my almost non-existent German, but this is how I sort of remember and understand. And within it is the Reich Hauptamt. So it's like leader over headquarters or some sort of element to this. But this is also sort of correct here in that you have, start again, you have the SS Hauptamt here, and you have the RSD, I don't want to try to pronounce all that right now, under Heydrich, which is also under Himmler, but it's not under the SS Hauptamt. It's another part of the SS, but it wasn't subordinate to the Hauptamt. It was sort of co-equal, if you will, and this was under Heydrich. And it wasn't until this headquarters was created that they were, is my understanding of it. Again, I could be wrong, and things change. What may be true in 1935 isn't true in 36. That is then later again true in 1938. So I've read a lot on these different subjects, but I know it changes at different times. There wasn't, until now, there wasn't a central headquarters for administration, if you will, of all of the SS elements. Was a central guy, Himmler, but he didn't run all of these elements, and he never really did, but this does create that. So this, as you can see, it removes some of the brigades, either version here. So that should remove those units like that, and just give the clock a little bit to go. It should be gone, or will go. Okay, so now we're back. Now we have this under Himmler, expanded units with his leader headquarters, and I don't know if I probably clicked on this. Oh well, this is the replacements from, because I'm not recognizing it right offhand, from GGA. Now this is a much later photo with everybody in gray and later uniforms, I believe, than now. And these have been upgraded to Army Group headquarters, though they represent the same offices, really. So they're here and they're returned. And what you will want to do is it's okay, see, it just, that bar across the top disappeared. So it takes a little while to at times remove all the legacy elements that you give the command to delete. So if you notice some event happening and you're clicked on it like I was, it won't necessarily immediately disappear. So you want to put the writing school, the SS, Totenkopf, Verband, Inspectorate, which is sort of also up here. We'll get there. We'll just do this. The SS VT, the Vergen Strungtruppen Inspectorate. Also here, I currently this unit, the Inspectorate sort of faded away or changed its name because it becomes basically the Waffen-SS sort of administration inspectorate. These will all be under the SS Hauptamt here. So that would create that empire. This is sort of illustrating the SS empire within Germany as it grows. Now I'm putting all of these units here because these are currently commanding my various SS Totenkopf units, the Standarta. It just, the Inspectorate for it won't cover all of them. And as they will eventually be removed, all of these will disappear over time as manpower shifted from them. Obviously some of the manpower didn't get shifted. It was used more and more for camp guards. Concentration at first, then as they converted more and more to death camps. That's what a lot of their personnel. But this headquarters structure here that I use, these SS, and I've just numbered them here, will eventually be organizing and commanding the Einsatzgruppen here. So those are the under the RSD, or RSH, or whatever. So they'll be under Heydrich here. So that's sort of what I'm doing with all of that. Now the other theater group here is the Hauptamt for the Ordnungspolizei. These are all also under Himmler. Not necessarily under the, I don't quite know the order battle table, whether if they were under the Reichsführung SS or whether Himmler was just not just their de facto commander, but their actual commander as under the police. I've not given out hardly any of these guys jobs, but not give them out, but I'll just show them. I know I'm sort of interrupting our invasion of France to go over some of this stuff. Hope it's interesting. Sort by skill. I gave them fairly low skill numbers. It's the ORPROs here. You'll notice they all have SS tags to their names because, to the best of my knowledge, as I was going through the list on all these ORPROs officers, they were all also generals within the SS, because these are all generals in the ORPRO. They, as time goes on, more and more will be available. I sort of left them open because I'm going to use them as sort of commanding in the various occupation units, I think, more so than just these, because I don't think I have enough of them. The ORPRO, the ORPRO units are all have been created by Revolver Held's great GGA mod. He's done all that work on it. I don't want to try to steal any of the credit or blame, but I would say mostly credit here for them. I think I've done all of the ORPRO. I don't think he's added, at least not to this version yet, any more of the generals. You can feel free to assign other SS generals here, because like I was saying, all these guys are also generals within the SS. They're not Waffen-SS generals. I don't think hardly any of them would have been part of the Waffen-SS. They were just part of the various elements of the Allgemeine SS. But basically, you can look at all their these hardly show their uniforms, and most all these are pictures, and they do change. Early on, they sort of had army-style generals' ranks here on their collars, except for it was a green backing instead of red. Later on in the war, I don't know if it was a universal change required or just change some of them. With some of the rankings, they went to the SS-style rankings. It's maybe too arcane for most of you, but instead of the sort of the same sort of look and feel to the SS ranks, but instead of black back, they were again a green, this green color collar tab rank, so you can sort of tell. So I used the ORPRO units as much as I could. I used pictures with them in the ORPRO uniform, but if you could see their whole jacket, you often see a badge down on their near stomach area that would be an SS badge. So they were assigned, but basically below the general ranks, almost exclusively below the colonel ranks, but it depends on where. Most of the people were not also members of the SS. I mean, it's like 99% of them were just members of the various police units. So it was the police. I've yet to see a general that I've identified that I can remember. I mean, I'm not saying it's 100% true, but I don't remember a single one that wasn't also a member in good standing in the SS of the ORPRO. I don't think I would have given them the Waffen, it's just Waffen SS tag here, obviously. Tag if they weren't also in my research showing that. I know that's probably too much detail, but cancel that. So you can put that under there, and then some of these like later ones that we have. Yes, this is a good one maybe to put a leader in charge of it, but since that's all filled up, just go down. We could put them more under here, but that I think just clog them up, so just directly put them under him. I'll go and do more of these later, but this shows you the expanding empire. I'll temporarily put him under. The expanding SS empire within Nazi Germany. That's part of, some of you got another one, what's the SA good for? And I'm thinking most people, of course, are asking the question from a game standpoint. Part of the reason here is that they do have a practical use in the game. If you've noticed that I have used these a little bit as invasion troops, and when they were at the stronger formations, they could have easily held this line without, shifting all these SA units in defensive use. But part of it is just to show you the extent of the various organizations and their control within Germany and the realities of the time. Not everything here is for positive benefit. Some things are, I don't know if negative benefit, but some things you just are good and bad and sort of balanced out that way. So you have like the SS state, you have, this is just obviously the Eastern Front, and that's not very well put together, command. You have the German Einsatzheers, the sort of, I've always been, at least in generally English use for Einsatz is sort of false or fake or wannabe, in that like, or I mean, sorry, Ersatz. Ersatz is how I would often pronounce it. Like surplus ammunition, periodic times it become flooded available in the United States, and then once that sort of dries up, it's sort of Ersatz, surplus ammunition, which means it's not real surplus ammunition, but it's made by foreign factories for military use, but because they sort of emptied out all their old ammunition and sold it for American use, they can make more and just directly sell it to America. So it's sort of coming in, army packaging, but it's new production. So I don't know the details of exactly, but it's sort of like the home army as I understand it to be. So that's sort of showing the home army's reach within sort of a reserve internal use. This is the SA, of course, and then here we have Goering's sort of empire with the Air Force, and we have the Navy, which we're slowly are working and moving this out towards Lorient as we get it up, or get it out there and conquer it. So that's part of the reason for the SA and the SS, and that they do have a real and practical way of organizing things up for the game, but they are also here to demonstrate what was going on. Okay, well, let's continue with the war. The Battle of France. Get them to the mix there. Okay, it would appear reinforced conquered both France and the Netherlands all at once there. There's something that, or did we already conquer Belgium? Don't remember specifically. So we have ended the Battle of France. I guess we just took just enough of the victory points. As you can see here, we had taken most of these, hadn't taken any of those yet. Normally well, sometimes I've had to take a few down in here for victory. Okay, so we are now victorious over the French. Now, okay, yes, now we want to upgrade this. That says Totenkopf division refit. It goes through a lot. I like the historical aspect of it. What I don't like is a lot of times they're given it sort of things like this with very few manpower so they're unusable for a time. This is the reason this shows up down here is, and there's a book that was created by the Totenkopf division, but they did have a campaign history. They were involved in the push out to the coast here. I don't remember exactly where, but then as part of the defeat and occupation, I think in the later stages it was more occupation, they did end up march down here, and they had one of the longest, if not the longest, distant campaign, coverage of territory as they maneuvered around through here of any other German division at the time. At least they claimed that, and I'm not disputing their claim. I just don't have a factual basis to know if there is something that had more. Okay, the 11th Panzer Division, and I thought, and wasn't sure, but we're going to put it in here. I didn't know if it pulled a unit off the map that was upgrading. We'll put it in the production queue. Production queue does, like I said before, creates a better unit. The downside is it doesn't necessarily give it its historical commander, but then of course we can pick a good commander for it ourselves. And the 60th Infantry Division, we'll go with that. Field Herrenhalle. Again, get this version. Now this one does remove obviously division from the map. I just didn't want to remove something that was in the middle of the battle. Some of the events are triggered, like the Totenkopf at the end of the Battle of France. Others are, or quite likely, just simply by Germany occupying Bayonne down here. Others are time, date time setup. And as you hear in the background, that thing that to me sounds sort of like surf is us sinking submarines. And obviously we're not really sinking or even engaging any here, but that's okay. They're up here trying to go after my stuff. These Norwegians in France's service, or what? Not sure who's there in now. But you can see here we've just come down through here. Look at this, guys. Okay, because we came out from here. 2, 4, 2, 2, 5, 4, 4, 4, 8, 5, 4, 1, 1. One of the, I think is one of them is operating here. One group, the other went a bit further south. Yeah, so that lets you know how effective you can be with just a few submarines, and by running them right along their path of operation. And this guy is he just heading out? Yeah, I guess we're still sinking a lot down in here. 6, 11, 5, 4, 2, 1, 1, and 2, and 2, and 4. So you can see we're doing a bang up good job here, and these are just like 1, 2, 1, and 1. But it's a whole nother area out here that they're not even operating any anti-submarine patrols on, and here he hasn't gotten anybody, so that means maybe shift him out to here. There's got to be presumably somebody coming across the Indian Ocean there. I don't know exactly their path, but that's part of the trick is that they will move into an area like this and start putting. I'm looking to see if I can see any naval units to hunt my units. Like here's obviously they're out there, they're hunting, so that they're doing that because they're getting losses here. So spreading your forces out like that will mean that they can't effectively hunt everywhere. Okay. Yes, aviation, navigational radar, that would be, that's good to have. We don't need to push it too much more. I want to go for active sonar for ships. Presume most of you know what sonar is. Yes, France has decided to shame a defeat. Not that they really had a choice. At least temporarily, we have a lot more. leadership from the various areas in France. Okay, and we get 1.5 more. Hedgehog defense, that's another good one. Okay, I'm ending this. Okay, what I think has happened here, I'm going to go back and refire and force fire an event. I don't think we got the Vichy France thing, and I've been sort of worried about a few other things not happening because of the short episodes that we've been playing, and some stuff is not fired. Because if you notice, we have Free France down here and no Vichy. That does have its benefits, but I want to go with the historical path. So we're going to I'm just going to go back. I'm going to leave this because I thought I gave some good information there, and see about reloading and starting again. I'm going to force fire the Vichy thing, and I think it happened to me last time, and it's just because I will play like just an hour's worth or something and talk a lot during it. But unfortunately, we're going to not get these Great Destroyer Engine level 6 things that we just got. So I think it's too late to force fire it now. I got to force fire it before France goes bye-bye. But that would have been nice. It's not like we're going to get that exact same thing again. Okay, so thanks. We'll be back shortly, or I'll be putting this in with putting 2 episodes together or something like that. Welcome back. Okay, went and restarted things, got this going here. I force fired it. It has a timer at war with France plus a month takes to happen, and obviously we crushed Poland very rapidly, and we haven't waited the normal time, as well as the combination of it has been more than a month, but playing a lot of short games, and sometimes I'm just sort of recording one session in a day, so obviously it's stopping and it's resetting the clock, or not fully getting right. So it's just to force fired it just to get it to happen. And so that happened, not a bug, just playing considerations here. What's going on here? Looks like a battle. Ooh, that's good. See, I like to see that. They came over with some French there. Looks like to bomb me, and we got a bunch of fighters up there and slaughtered them. Keep advancing in, probably very soon. Though firing that event may change when and how the surrender might happen just because of they may set a different requirements for France to surrender. Victory conditions or whatever. Okay, we enforce conquer France and the Netherlands like it happened. The Vichy French regime happened, that's right, that's how it should happen. We've lost a couple of provinces because a few of the units went back to being French, including down here, which may mean the Totenkopf will need to head down here. Where's Totenkopf? One of these piles of units. There it is. Just for the fun, I know we talked about it last time. Let's have them march down that. Some units will revert back to French control that were in the revert back to English control that were lent to France and create things like this. Yeah, we can let that happen. It won't last long. Okay, we're just having to redo a few of these things here. And let's see now. Yes, Vichy France starts out because of... Oh, it won't be here just yet. Liking us enough that we can invite it to our faction. We'll just clear these out, like I said before, not worth it. Panzer Division. Herrenhall, we'll put them in the production queue. We'll get through that fast. Let's see if I can remember. We went with Blitzkrieg and Hedgehog. Yes, they've accepted now. So we now have Vichy as an ally. Not only is this more historical, doing this, obviously, this garrison unit converted to British service, though, and they would be smart. Well, I don't know if they'd be smart. No, it would be a doom of whatever soldiers if they sent in any reinforcements. We're going to make sure of that by Thoma. There's a Rommel down there. Bay. This will be a hard fight here, but let's maximize our use out of this fight. Now, by firing that event, obviously, we're setting up Vichy France to exist, which will allow the potential of the various invasions. But it also what was I thinking? Helps control this area that we don't have to control it directly. And that can help a lot in the long run, I think at least. Okay, home front coordination. Where is... Okay, we're going to stop it here. It just more and more that supply throughput reduction is a bit of a problem, in my opinion. Cost is reduce unit cooperation. So we're just going to do the one level. It's right now so far. Okay, combat medicine advanced. That is good. Improve our tank destroyers. It'll be useful. Okay, the Norwegians are getting uppity very early in this game. If you watch my last game, you've seen how convoy rating. We're gonna go passive here. Put it off the British coast. How problematical they were last game in holding. I still haven't decided what I want to do for that event. Right now what I'm doing is not very well coordinated. Obviously I'm trying to clean up what's left of this. But I know I'm not using any fortress busting divisions, but we're just... Oh, is it that bad a fortress situation? Oh, guys. Look, I truly love what Black Ice does, but the Maginot Line was not some near impregnable line. What is it? Von Mellethens? Oh god, I forget his exact name. His very good book that he wrote on strategy, tactics, and whatnot in this war did talk a bit about his history. In his unit, he was like an adjutant to the general for his division that at the time that attacked sort of this state, not before the fall of Paris, but sort of late in the stage attack, and I think it was in this area, not across the Rhine, attacked the Maginot Line and fought their way through it with moderate at worst casualties as he was seeing it, and it wasn't a major hardship. Now I think by that point, quite honestly, you know, like I say, this is before, I think before the fall of France, but after, if I remember from the book correctly, after the Dunkirk situation. So the French knew the war was over, and so I don't think they were fighting particularly hard. But I don't have any specific fortress divisions yet put together. I decided this time not to build specific fortress divisions, but obviously, like, we're looking at this HQ, we have a few of these Storm Panzer or Storm Pioneer units around, and I think do we have some up here still? Yeah, we have some here that I can put together a relatively decent fortress divisions. That's when we're getting ready to fight it, but they really weren't. They weren't anything like this. I mean, this is for some full maxed out on both things, is for you know, some Gibraltar, or, you know, some really super strong one-off fortress place, not the whole damn line. Yeah, it's just my disagreement over how they've interpreted World War II. I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong. That's not the way I see it. Well, maybe I'm saying they're wrong. I'm saying they're wrong that it wasn't all that strong. A few places, and if you want to study the line, and I have not, there are a few places along here that very well might have come this close, but it's not the whole damn line. It was, and this is one of the things I've read, of the overall line, and you've presumably seen some pictures of like French soldiers riding, you know, sort of small trains or electric trolleys underground as part of the Maginot Line. Yeah, they did have a few of these underground multiple fortress, you know, super forts with, you know, you have to use like electric rails underground for, you know, you don't want smoke from steam engines clogging up your fortress. They did do some of that to move some ammunition and troops around within it. They did, but that was just a few of them, and at some strategic locations that were particularly strong. And so that and now they showed that film a lot to make, at the time, as propaganda, to make out that that's what the Maginot Line was. That was not what the Maginot Line was. That was a few particular big forts within the Maginot Line were. Okay, get off my diatribe. Japan has annexed Siam this time. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And they've also gotten Indochina from the French. Now there's still this, I don't know if this goes away via event or somebody builds it, but there's still this barricade there. They really should have communications. Eventually that's more of a game trick. I think this will help out Japan considerably for 1941's entering the war. Instead of having Siam's troops battling in Burma, it'll be Japan. And coming down in here. So we can see this. This is a hell of a Japanese empire. I mean, China in and of itself, and we sort of call it a country today, and it's just because it's been an empire so long, the empire of the Qin. There are other ethnicities within here. I, even at the best of times, would have trouble pronouncing some of their names. And compared to the Qin, they're pretty small. And a lot of them, the Qin, and some of the I know we have some Taiwanese viewers, and a few viewers. We have no viewers of this series from China. I guess YouTube is blocked in China, though we do have some viewers I know in Hong Kong and Taiwan. They may, because I've met some very nice Chinese people that I've known, but they want to at times insist that, at least one of them did that. Oh no, Tibetans are Chinese. No, they're just like us. Tibetans are Chinese. Really? Okay. If you're going that, yeah, and then you're sort of saying English people and Romanians are Europeans. Yeah, they're Europeans, and that's sort of, if you, then you're going to say, oh well, all East Asians are Chinese, like Koreans, like Vietnamese. I'm trying to East Asian, Far East Asians, as opposed to Indian Asians or Afghan Asians or Iranian Asians. So are Mongolians and Koreans all Chinese too? Because Tibet, they're different physically and they're different linguistically. They may carry Tibetan, or they may carry Chinese passports today, but they're not necessarily ethnically Chinese. Another diatribe from me. But that's what. So as I'm saying, and even if you want to go into, Manchurians, and there are a few events in here that discuss it, and I've looked into it. There was, although it was really an incredibly, truly under the terms of a puppet state, meaning they were doing exactly whatever the Japanese wanted them to do. There were a few Manchurian patriots, and eventually some of them in sort of upper levels governments got pushed to the side and pushed out of the government. Were allowed to retire. They weren't put into camps or killed or anything. But they were very much Manchurian patriots that wanted to see the Manchurian ethnic group have their own country, as opposed to being Chinese patriots. So the idea, and I don't know about the Meijing, that's my understanding, and it's just vague at best, is that just sort of Japanese-controlled Mongolia. That's my understanding of that. And yes, most of these people in this main central region were the Qin, as opposed to the people from Sikkim out here that are trying to, they're Islamic peoples, but they're also trying to fight for their independence and whatever. That there's other ethnic groups in here. That this China is really, in my eyes, really more of an empire. Yeah, I know some of you that are talking about the various things might disagree with me, but I see China as I'm not saying it's wrong to be an empire, but it's an empire that has been there for a long time, persistent. It's also a nation as well, but so get back to originally just Japan conquering all this means Japan is a big super empire right now as it is. So it's gonna be let's look and see its revolt risk. Well, since it's purely nationalized, well, that's got to be chugging along interestingly for Japan. Obviously, they have more revolt risk down here. How interesting. Okay. Core HQs have advanced. And we gotta stop that because we don't want to push too far forward. Ooh, that's one of the things I've been waiting for. Dual purpose AA and anti-tank, anti-aircraft and anti-tank guns. These will help all those units, but particularly get those heavy AAs to be like the Flak 88s with good piercing qualities. They don't necessarily have huge heart attack qualities, but they help win the piercing wars. And so now, okay, so we can now see what the world is doing. This way now, all this is our Axis partners control down here. Not that they're going to do much, and I'm not calling them into fighting. And Italy's still at peace. Now, one of my very good contributors, Pavolini, who's been contributing a lot of stuff on Germany as well, or German-Italian stuff, but also some Eastern Front events, has sent me a bunch more of Italian-oriented events, and we've just released the sort of, TRE 4.3 that we're going through. He gave one event that starts Italy into the war in 1940 after as long as Germany's into the war. And I've got to convert all of his events over. I know I'm maybe talking a bit long here, but to work with TRE. Not that it takes a lot of work, but I don't like that condition. Partially because it's just my play style, and partially from history. It really took, at minimum, I would need to, for my peace of mind, to have control of certain provinces in France for Italy to enter the war, because they did not enter until it was clear that Germany was winning. But as if you know from my previous playthrough, I like to keep Italy out of the war until I'm really ready to intervene in the Mediterranean proper. So I was thinking about a situation of a, I don't know, sort of like the Balkans thing, if you will, but a coordination event. And I haven't thought about it. Maybe if you guys want to put in some input of a coordination event, because I don't want to force you guys to play a mod that I wouldn't like, but an event that that's a, Italy asks Germany or Germany asks Italy, do you want us to enter the war now, and maybe set some sort of conditions, or I don't know. But at minimum, the event, and it's designed to be seen from a and someone playing as Italy, is really good, and it really talks about the start of the war for Italy. And then I'm definitely going to have the event happen. It just, do you have the event happen and trigger the war, or do you have the event happen after the war is triggered? So I can do it that way and keep the event in, but it just doesn't start the war or it doesn't start the war for Italy. It just happens when Italy fires it. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. That's one of the things with all the contributors. It's sort of a requirement that I've got to approve everything. I don't mean to be too much of a dictator or something. It's just, I guess, because it's not a cooperative project in that sense, and that we all have to agree upon what we're doing. It's got to, I've got to like how it works. And so long as I like how it works and agree, then I'm happy to have everybody's input into it. But I'm not going to go along just because somebody else thinks it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, it's just I've got to sort of approve it, and then I'm very willing to have input and want it from both the viewers and the contributors. Thanks so much. We will continue this.